I feel like every year I do the mid-year freakout tag with a puppy or a dog. So this is Schmidt. I mean, you've seen it before, but hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna, and this is For Paws in a Book. I make book and lifestyle related content, so if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below. Hello, buddy. Today we're going to do the mid-year book freakout tag. Alright, it is that time of the year. It is the mid-year. It is June. It's the end of June. So we're going to do the mid-year freakout tag. I'm going to do like a stats and goals video, like a goals check-in next month. Okay, well that lasted long. He's like, no, actually we're done. I don't like being in front of the camera. So it is mid-year. It is June. It is the end of June. This is about as close as I can get to the mid-year point. Without having to do my end of month, beginning of month content. So this is where this video is sitting, okay? Don't at me that we still have a few more days to the middle of the year. I will do my Q2 review with talking about my stats and goals and things like that in July, after Q2 is over. But I still love doing this mid-year freakout tag. It's one of the few tags that I really enjoy watching everybody doing. I don't love tags, honestly. I don't like doing them that often, but I do love this one. So, Schmidt's sitting right underneath my tripod, so if it moves, that's what happened. I will leave my playlist up above. I think I've done this video every single year since 2018, which was my first year on BookTube. I think I did it then. I don't recommend you watching that one. That one sucks. In fact, it actually might be privated. But that's neither here nor there. Here we are, 4.5 years later. We're almost 5 years on BookTube. So let's get started. The first question is, what is your favorite book that you've read so far this year? Normally I like to keep this book a secret. I like to hide which book that I, like the most. I don't know why. This year it's such a clear and obvious front runner. It's Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blank. There's just no way that this is not going to end up in my favorites of the year. I would be hard pressed to find something that's going to beat it at all. I love this book so much, and I've talked about it so many times on my channel, so I'm not going to go into detail. You know what this is. The second question is, what is your favorite sequel that you have read so far this year? And I actually have quite a few books that would fit this. I've read a lot of series this year. I've really been focusing on trying to close out my series, so I've read quite a few. However, there's one that's a very big standout that I absolutely loved. I read it, I think, last month. Was it last month? Yes. That Kind of Guy by Talia Hibbert. This is the third book in the Ravenswood series. This is a contemporary romance. It's just a beautiful, cinnamon roll hero and an older heroine, which I really liked. This also has a really, really great demi-rep, which I really appreciated. The next question is, what is a new release that you have not gotten to yet? I think I have 2 for this, actually. And I could pick a whole bunch of them. I actually have, a lot. Let's be honest. I'm looking over at my recently hauled, and I have so many, but I picked 2 that I'm really excited to read. The first one is Lady Fairy Duke by Alexis Hall. This is a historical romance with a trans main character, so very excited to see how that's done, and I know that from the reviews that I've heard, I think it's done really, really well. The second one is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sulin Tan. I've heard a lot of people talk about this and they loved it, especially people that are not necessarily epic high fantasy readers, so that gives me hope. This is a blend of sci-fi and fantasy. They grow up on, she grew up on the moon, but it's an enthralling debut fantasy inspired by the legend of the Chinese moon goddess, in which a young woman's quest to free her mother sets her on a dangerous path and pits her against the most powerful immortal in the realm. Sounds great, and it's a beautiful cover. The next question is, what is your most anticipated read for the second half of the year? I did actually just post a whole video about my favorites for Q3, which is July, August, and September. But there are 2 on my most anticipated reads that are not in that video because they actually come out, I think, in November. And I have an arc for one of them, and still waiting for the other one. But Shipwrecked by Olivia Dade is the third book in the Spoiler Alert series, with plus size heroines. We love it. And then the other one is Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, think is what the title is, which is the sequel to Delilah the Great. So we are getting 2 books in the series in the same year. The next question is, what is your biggest disappointment? I have a few. The first one is pretty recent. In fact, you may not have even seen me talk about this one yet, so we're going to talk very briefly about it. But City of Dusk by Tara Sim, this was a 5-star prediction, and it just barely got 3 stars. It's not the worst book I've ever read, but I just had such high expectations for it, and the concept seemed just absolutely phenomenal. And the worst thing about this book is that 100 pages in, I still thought, oh, it's going to be a 5-star read. And then another 100 pages, I was like, okay, it's going to be a 4-star read. And then another 100 pages, I'm like, it's a 3-star read. And then I'm going back down to like a 2-star for a while, but then I liked the ending. So like, it's a very low 3-star. So it was just like, as you continue to read it, it got worse. And that was what was frustrating about this book. I will talk about that one more in my vlog, which is coming soon-ish. But then my other really big disappointment was Misrule by Heather Walter. And that was just because Malice was so good that this one felt not great. And I was really, really anticipating it. And I had an arc for it. And I didn't love it as much as I really wanted to. This also got a pretty low 3-star. So the next question is, what is your biggest surprise? I think I gave you 2 disappointments, so I'll give you 2 surprises. The first one is The City of Brass. Now, this isn't like a huge surprise because like I feel like it has a lot of the things that I should like in a book, but I think what surprised me is just how much I loved this book. I thought that the series would be good, but like this, when I did my tier ranking of the 60 books that I had read in the year so far, this was like top 5. So, like, I didn't think it would be that good. And then the other one was Mcsmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow. This is the second book in the Nevermore series. This is a middle grade fantasy, and I read the first one last year and really didn't like it. It was a very disappointing read, and so I decided to pick this one up, like, 6 months later, and actually really liked it and made me want to pick up the 3rd book in the series. So for that reason, it kind of redeemed itself. We're calling it a surprise. There's one more book that definitely was a surprise. It really came out of left field, and that was A Dowry of Blood by S.D. Gibson. This is another one that like the 5-star rating came out of nowhere. This is a novella. This is paranormal. It's vampires. It's things I shouldn't like in a book, but I absolutely loved it. The next question is, what is your favorite author, or like a new favorite author? And I don't know that I have one technically. Like I don't know. I don't think I really have a favorite author per se. I do know that I have read a ton of Katie Robert this year. Now I read the first 3 books in her Wicked Villain series last year, so it's technically not a new author. But I've read a lot of her stuff this year, and fell in love with the Neon Gods of the Dark Olympus series. So I think she's probably a new favorite author. Like the fact that I read Dragon Erotica from her, which is not something that I would normally pick up, but because it was Katie Robert, I did. We're going to call her a favorite author. The next question is newest fictional crush. And that's a weird question, but I feel like I have to go with Hades from Neon Gods. Speaking of Katie Roberts, this is like, he's such a cinnamon roll character, and I love him, specifically in this one. I know that there are some Hades and Persephone retellings where like Hades is not so much of a great guy, but in this one, he is. And then the next question is a favorite character, and that one I don't know that I have. To be honest, I think Alice from Malice is like the Maleficent character. I think she's fantastic. I think that book was such a phenomenal villain origin story. The book's right there. I'm not going to get it down. So I really, really liked that. I love Delilah. I love Delilah. But like I don't know. I feel like that's like using the same book twice. So I don't know. The next question is a book that made you cry, and I'm a robot who does not cry at books. However, the book that got me the closest to tears this year was Stay Gold by Toby Mcsmith. This ending kind of broke me a little bit. Like I said, I don't cry at books. I don't know that there has been a book that made me cry ever, to be honest. Like, I think maybe I've teared up once or twice, but like full-on bawling hasn't happened ever. I'm a robot. The funny thing is that I can like cry at the drop of a hat with visual media. The last season of Lucifer, that'll kill you. But like when I'm reading, and even if I'm listening to it on audio, I just don't get the same reaction. I don't know. But this one got me really close, but in a good way. And then on the flip side of that coin, the next question is, what is a book that made you happy? And I'm going to go with Home Field Advantage by Dahlia Adler. I just read this one earlier this month and absolutely loved it. This is such a cute book. And here's an interesting observation. I have definitely skewed more into adult books. I have not been reading nearly as much YA. And we'll talk about that one more in my stats when I talk about that one next month. However, if we want to talk about like the gambit of emotions from like being sad and crying to happy and joyful, and like these are both YA contemporaries. So I don't know what that says. I don't know. Okay, and then the next question is, what is the most beautiful book that you have purchased or received this year? And this one has to go to Year of the Reaper. This is the Fairy Loot edition that I found on Penguin Books for pretty cheap. And I don't really love the original cover, which was like one reason why I was like, oh, I'll just get it on Kindle. But then I found this one and I was like, oh, yes. So this one has the like really nice naked cover that's absolutely beautiful, but then we have like this full artwork that's going on. So yeah, this is a gorgeous book. It also has the black sprayed edges. This is just perfect, beautiful book. Hopefully what's inside of it is also just as beautiful. I haven't read it yet. Then the last question is, what are some books that you want to get to? Like, what's the top of your TBR kind of thing? Like, I could just tell you like all of my books. I'm really trying to work on my physical TBR. Don't at me when you see my next book haul because it's huge. I do have some really exciting projects that I'm working on. My video content, I feel is changing slowly. I'm not as excited to do like just the simple sit down videos. I want to do more like long form content where I'm reading books for like a certain genre, a certain trope, list videos, that kind of things. Not like list videos where I list things, but I read books from lists. That's what I'm trying to say. So that involves me like reading a lot more books. I have a lot of videos that I'm really excited about. They all involve reading books for them. So that's the top of my TBR, really. Plus I have a TBR game, so that's really fun. That is all I have for you today. If you are feeling chatty, let me know down in the comments what your favorite book of the year so far is. And if you are not feeling chatty, put some hearts down below. Whatever your favorite color is. That is all I have for you today. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little red button that you can do so down below the video, and all the other links to my social media will be in the description below if you would like to be my friend on any other platform. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.